Hello and welcome to Pictorial Planet. My name's John Finch. Today we're diving deeper into FX55 and we're going to look at how to use it as a two-bath. It's a two-part series. Today we're going to look at using it as a two-bath, and next week I'll hope to have more test results for you to see if it's working or not. But we will have a glimpse today at whether we think that it's worth pursuing this method. Now that all sounds very strange, doesn't it? And that's because this method was actually promulgated by Geoffrey Crawley back in 2002 when FX50 was released by Patterson. I don't have any FX50 instructions, and if anybody out there does have FX50 instructions, please can you contact me and send me a picture of them or a PDF of them if you've got them. I would love to see them. The information I'm using today comes from another source. Let's have a look at it. Shutterbug magazine released a review of Patterson FX50, and this review was written by Roger Hicks. Now, Patterson had just released FX50 Developer onto the market in around 2002, and this article came out in September of 2002. So in this article, Roger Hicks describes the new developer FX50, he talks about its qualities, and he describes how to develop with it. And one of the things he talks about is using it as a two-bath developer. He explains that in the instructions for FX50, it describes two methods of using this developer as a two-bath. It's one of those methods I'm going to be describing to you today. Now, why would I be using a method for FX50 developer two-bath for FX55? Well, for the answer to that, we have to talk about what happened to FX50. Here is a timeline of Patterson developers, and I'll give you a link to this below in the description to this video. In fact, the link will take you to this page, and then you will be able to find and read the Shutterbug magazine article on FX50 for yourself. Now, as we can see, down in the bottom right hand corner, we can see the timeline for FX50 developer, and it starts in 2002 and they stopped production in 2007. 1 year later, September 2008, is when Crawley released the formula for FX55. I believe that that formula is very similar to FX50. Now, I'm not saying it's exactly the same. I'm sure there were substantial differences for production. However, the basic concept, the basic idea, the basic chemistry is probably very similar. So I believe that this two-bath method for FX50 might work with FX55, and that's what we're going to do right now. I've prepared everything for the two-bath developer test. I have 500 milliliters of developer at 20 degrees centigrade. I have 250 milliliters of water at 35 centigrade. I have the film ready in here, I have my timer ready, and I have a measuring jug to help me later on. I'll need that. But before I start, let's back up a bit and see this from a high-level view of what I'm going to do. Yes, before I start to demonstrate this, it's probably better to see it from 10,000 feet. So on the left-hand side of this chart here, you'll see regular development. And for me, FX55 with FP4 Plus is 7 minutes with Ilford agitation. On the right-hand side is what I'm going to demonstrate here, and that's my FX55 FP4 two-bath system. Now, Crawley said that you should develop as normal for half the development time. So that would be 3.5 minutes. So in it goes 20 centigrade. I do my normal development for 3.5 minutes. At that point, at the halfway point, you empty out the developer into a graduate. You then discard half of the developer. Then you add the same volume of water at 35 degrees centigrade. Now, let's just back up a touch. You've just discarded half the developer. So if I've got, say, 500 ml of developer that I've been using for the first half of development, I just toss 250 ml. That leaves me 250 ml of developer left in the graduate. I then add 250 ml of water at 35 centigrade. So I have half the dilution of the developer, and I've also increased its temperature, haven't I? Because this water was 35 centigrade. So now I've halved this dilution with this warmer developer, and I return it straight back into the developing tank, and I continue to develop the film for 3/4 of the development time. Now, I think that means I don't have the FX50 instructions, but I think what Roger Hicks was meaning was you add 3/4 of the development time now onto your development and continue. So I would develop for 5 minutes and 15 seconds longer. That's 3/4 of 7 minutes. We're going to have a look at the results today of that, and then I'm going to do some more testing this week, and next week we're going to look again and see if I can decide if there's a different way of doing this, because my interpretation might be incorrect. Maybe I should only be developing for a total of 3/4 of the development time. Okay, that was the high level view. You've got this on your screen. You can pause the video, write that down if you want. Let's jump back to my development. Now that you're more familiar with what's going to happen, it should be helpful. So everything's ready, and I'm going to start my development. So I get my 500 milliliters of FX55 full strength and pour it in. In she goes, and I'm going to start the development. And as I said, I use Ilford agitation, which to me is agitate gently for the first 30 seconds, like so. This is to fully soak the film and really get that developer into the emulsion. And then after 30 seconds, a couple of really good wraps on the tabletop. That gets any bubbles off the film, and any that are inside the reel will float to the surface. And then on the minute, I'm going to start my Ilford 1 minute agitation. Here we go. Couple of wraps, and then I'll agitate again on the next minute. Now I'll fast forward the video to the part where we're going to do our 2 bath. We're at the 3 minute point now, so I'm preparing now for my 2 bath part. I have an empty jug here which I'm going to pour all the developer into. I'll pour half of the developer into this developing jug, so 250 ml. And then I'll add this water, which is 250 ml at 35 centigrade. So here we are, halfway point. Here we are, that's the first part in. There's 250 ml. Here goes my 250 ml of hot water, 35 centigrade. And straight back into the developing tank. I'm going to restart the clock, and I'm going to give it a good agitation now, just to make sure that that developer is all mixed up thoroughly. There. And I will now continue to agitate on the minute for around about 3 agitations, around about 7 or 8 seconds that takes me, and I'm going to continue until 5 minutes and 15 seconds. And at 5 minutes and 15 seconds, I will stop the film and I will fix the film. Let's have a look at what those negatives look like. Here are the negatives on the light table, and the ones on the bottom are straight FX55 development for 7 minutes, and the ones on the top here are the 2-bath development. They look so similar. There's not a great deal of difference. It's very hard to tell on the video, I think, but I'm looking at them here. I think that these 2-bath ones are slightly less contrasty, which I would expect if there's been some compensation from the 2-bath development. But there's not a great deal of difference. So it's going to be really interesting to print these to see how it looks. Now, this is my house, and the walls are bright white, and so that's going to be really interesting if we can see any difference with prints of the wall. There's also a very faint cloud in the sky above the house in both of these, and so it's going to be interesting to see if it shows up more with the compensated 2-bath development method. This is a really interesting experiment, so I'm going to crack on now and scan these in, show you the scans, and then let's make a print together of each. Here are the two negatives. On the left hand side is the FX55 regular development. On the right hand side is the 2-bath development. Let's zoom in and just have a look at the differences. So straight away the 2-bath is sharper. Look at that tree, it's very sharp indeed. It's slightly less sharp in the left for sure. There's a marked increase in sharpness with 2-bath development, and that is a surprise for me. Looking here again, it's sharper with 2-bath than not. Now let's get this in context. This left hand side, this regular FX55 is very sharp. I mean, it's not wanting for sharpness at all. It's an acutance developer and it's sharp, but the right hand side 2-bath is slightly sharper. And look at the cloud here. You can definitely see the cloud more on the right hand side with the 2-bath development. It's more obvious there's a cloud there, definitely less obvious with regular development, so it has compensated. We can see that these were taken within seconds of each other, so that cloud didn't move. This is actually something we can see of a difference with the compensation. It's not a great deal though, is it? It's surprisingly little for what we've done. It does look slightly less contrasty with the 2-bath than regular, but the regular is very good. Fascinating. I'm now going to go and print these and see what it's like in prints. Will we see a difference on paper? Let's have a look. And here are the prints. The first one we'll look at is a regular print of the regular development. So this is just the straight 7 minutes in FX55. It's printing at grade 2, which is very nice. I'm getting detail in the highlights, which is nice. The sun was bouncing off that white, so it's done very well as the FX55 indeed. And looking up here, we have some cloud here a little bit, and actually you can see in the print, you can see a little bit of that cloud above the house there that I talked about. It's a nice print, and this is a wonderful developer for skies. Look at that sky. There's no filter, there's no manipulation of this print at all. It's a straight print on the enlarger at grade 2. I haven't dodged or burned anything, so it's a nice print. It's a lovely developer. Let's have a look at the compensation in the 2-bath, if there is any. So doesn't it look similar? Oh, the cloud is maybe a little bit more visible. We'll compare the two in a moment. And there you can see it, but it doesn't look a lot, does it? It's not particularly different. I would have expected a little more if I had had a successful 2-bath compensation. So I don't think we're getting everything we might want in this 2-bath. Nice detail in those highlights. Straight grade 2 print. No dodging, no burning. Yeah, there's definitely a little bit more cloud in that sky. Let's just put the two together. If I can get the two skies there. Let's try that. There, have a look. Can you see the one above is the 2-bath, the one below is the straight print. And I think you can see the sky is a bit darker with the 2-bath. So there's been an element of compensation, but not a lot. I don't know. I'm not sold on this method yet, but maybe I'm doing it wrong. If you have the instructions for FX50 anywhere, could you please send me a copy? Photograph it so I can read it, or PDF it, or send it through the post. I'd be very grateful. And this week I'm going to do more experiments around this, and next Monday we'll be looking at more 2-bath goodness with FX55. Thanks for watching, everybody. Please give me a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, and thank you to all the people who buy my book and all my patrons. It's you guys that bring this channel to everybody every single week. So thank you all so much for that. Goodbye for now.